we always have to say, like, whenever Italy play against Germany, I have lots of scar tissue regarding this matchup, because like this is a game that Germany usually in big competitions loses. The first time they got past Italy was at the Euro 2016. And then even then it took penalties, right? And this was probably one of the best, maybe the best German team that we ever sent to a tournament. And then even then Germany went out against France in that dreadful semi-final later on in the tournament. But like we talked about this ahead of the podcast, this isn't the same Italy than it used to be. It's not the same Italy that used to scare Germany, like there used to be a time when even the best of German teams, they would face Italy and might as well mail those points to Rome rather than like playing them, because this is Germany's opponent that they had the worst record against in major tournaments. But we looked at those numbers. It's now 7 games that Germany have not been beaten by Italy in a row. When you look at the Italy's home record against Germany, this is only Germany's third win against Italy in Italy. The last one previously was in the 1986, and that was a friendly. The game before that Germany won was in 1929. So you really have to dig into the history books, right? But the part of the story is also that Germany didn't lose the last 3 games before that either in Italy. So, increasingly this is becoming an easier opponent. And there was also a time, I think, that when Italy had gone up by a goal in the first half, I would have said, okay, I'm going to turn off the TV. This is not happening. But that's just gone. That feeling is now gone because you have a head coach in charge now who then tweaks the team at halftime and just fixes things.
Yeah, it was undoubtedly a game of two halves, to be perfectly honest with you. I completely agree with you. In the first half, I thought Italy set up really well. Like I said, at halftime, Italy do what Italy do. They set up defensively. They're very well organized, crowded the middle of the pitch. And much of the first half was just Musiala kind of turning round with the ball and having like 3 or 4 players just assault him, basically. They counter-attacked really well, I thought. Italy obviously scored from such a counter-attack when Tonali scored a great goal. And it kind of really felt like Germany didn't really know what to do. You could see that they were trying not to rush up the pitch because they didn't want to offer Italy the opportunity to counter-attack. So it just felt like a very flat game where it looked like Germany were just kind of passing it around the defence for much of the game, and then Italy were waiting for the right opportunity to kind of strike. I was chatting to subscribers about it. I thought the defence looked very sluggish, very slow. Tan Rudiger were kind of all over the place. And then, sure enough, the goal comes about from Politano getting in behind David Raum, and then Jonathan Tah making a really bizarre, what I thought was a bizarre decision to, instead of clearing the ball at the front post and just putting out for a corner, he just decides to try and almost flick it behind him, which obviously puts it directly into the path of Tonali. He scores. And then, at half time, it felt like Italy had Germany's number. It felt like tournament Italy. They looked like a tournament team, a team who score early, and as you said, they defend well, and they were just going to ride out a 1-0 win. And there wasn't really much that Germany could do about it. But then obviously Nagelsmann made some big substitutions at halftime. He brought Schlotterbeck on for David Raum, which was probably a right call because Raum wasn't having the best game. Brought Klein-Dienz on for Burkhardt. I thought Burkhardt was lively in a kind of Timo Werner way, without really offering, a clear opportunity towards goal. He really didn't have much to work on, so I'm not really going to blame him for that at all. But, within 70 seconds of stepping on the pitch, Klein-Dienz remarkably scores a header unmarked in the box when Joshua Kimmich kind of fires a remarkable cross in for him. It was, and then in the second half, it just kind of felt like this is a game in which Germany knew what they were doing, and I said at full time that Italy were so defensively composed in the first half, and then they just completely lost all that composure in the second half. from the Klein-Dienst header first goal, which was a completely unmarked in the box. He heads home, easiest goal to score all season. And then, of course, the corner from which Kimmich, again, provided an assist where Goretzka gets the end of it. Goretzka had like 2 or 3 opportunities like this where late runs into the box or from the corner here. And for some reason, Italy just did not know how to defend these crosses at all. I mean, yeah, maybe they don't have the biggest team. I think maybe Tonali and Bastoni are maybe the biggest guys in that pitch, but they've got Donnarumma, who's one of the biggest goalkeepers in the world, and they've got big enough guys in there. And they're a team that are primarily set up to be defensive. So it was really baffling that they got undone by those, what were effectively set pieces, even though the first goal was from open play. I don't know. And the thing that really struck me, man, about this game was that, and I said this at full time, it was like the antithesis or the opposite of Yogi Löw's Germany, where his team came to represent this side that were all style and no substance. They'd be very well curated. They'd pass the ball very well. They'd dominate possession, but they wouldn't do anything with it. And they kind of lacked the drive, the hunger, the courage to kind of win games like this. Whereas I didn't think this was a particularly good performance from Germany per se, but Nagelsmann makes the right changes at halftime. Big guys show up, and they're very kind of strategic with how they score the goals and win the game. And obviously that's obviously far more effective. So you just can't really fault anything for that. And at the end of the day, it was a game in which Italy lost, but then obviously Nagelsmann did tremendously well to kind of win it for Germany in the second half.